Hello everyone, welcome back. Shaina Ashley here, and today we're going to be reviewing my time-lapse video of the fan art I painted in Photoshop. It's from the anime Blue Exorcist, which I am a huge fan of, and this time-lapse video will walk you through my process, give a little instruction about color theory, and I am going to be talking about how I feel about the show. So, I do always spend a couple hours off-screen collecting reference images just from any character that I think I might want to include in my piece from the anime, as well as things that indicate the, essence of the show, whatever their individual art styles are, and try to get inspiration from it. So, let's go.
Alright everyone, so to start off I usually do a few sketches, thumbnails about composition ideas. Then I'll come up with a completed really rough sketch, and I take that file into Photoshop and start tweaking it. So here I'm just moving everything around and starting the line work. I'm pretty sloppy with it in the beginning because I know that I'm going to go back and do it so many times, so I kind of just get everything in the space that I want, and then I tweak it as I get into more detail when revising the character. So this character's name is Rino Kumura. The fan art is based off of Blue Exorcist, as I mentioned, which was inspired by the show was inspired by a manga written and illustrated by Kazu Kato. I hope I'm saying that right. I chose to incorporate these three characters: Rino Kumura, who's the main character here, Yukio Okumura, which is the figure to his right, which is his twin brother, and Mephisto, who is the top character and is the chairman of their school, True Cross Academy. So, early in the show, we find out that Rin and Yukio are, in fact, the sons of Satan. Although only Rin seems to have any demonic power displaying. Also, his character is really feisty. He's high-spirited, very energetic, quick to forget, bad at studying. You know, typical cute, energetic protagonist who doesn't want to be known as the son of Satan because he has no intention of destroying the world. He was raised, both of them were raised by a priest named Shiro Fujimoto, and he dies in like the first episode. Spoiler alert. But so they both decide, through circumstance, they end up being at the school. Mephisto was a friend of Shiro, and he agrees to take both of the twins under his wing. So the show plays out like a typical Japanese school setting. The main characters are a part of this special club where they are, in fact, being trained to become exorcists. It's a fun show. I like a lot of the side characters. In a lot of shows, well, all anime has filler episodes. That's just how it is. I'm not really sure if that's because they are quoted to have so many episodes per season, or maybe sometimes they're waiting for the manga to catch up with where they've gotten to, but it's just inevitable. Most of the time, I just want to skip those episodes because they're literally pointless. But with Blue Exorcist, they always make sure that they incorporate some main plot to those episodes, so you don't feel like it was a waste of time. So up top, we started working on Mephisto. He is, by his name, his first name's Mephisto. His last name is Feles, so Mistopheles. Mistopheles is a character in the tragic history of the life and death of Dr. Faustus, commonly referred to as just Dr. Faustus, which was an Elizabethan tragedy written by Christopher Marlowe. The original was probably written about 1592 or 1593, so it's a very old character. But Dr. Faustus raised a lot of curiosity and tension due to its alleged interaction with the demonic realm. Remember, this is 1592, so all that stuff is very serious. But the character Mephistopheles, also called Mephisto, makes an appearance in that story. He's a familiar spirit of the devil, or as we see in the show, a member of Satan's family. So technically he's the older brother to Rin and Yukio. So here we are starting to drop some color. Again, we're going to go back and tweak everything just like we always do. I'm not really happy with this skin color. Mephisto's a lot more pale, so we're going to start dropping his colors in. It's really hard to tell what to do as far as color planning goes until everything is full, until there's no white, so we can start, adding a second layer, because I can't tell how dark I need to go if I don't see how dark their environment is, or I don't know how to shade the hair or the clothes until I've identified a light source. So here I am just blocking in the colors, trying to stick pretty closely to the character's original colors in the anime, but I will deviate a little bit to kind of fit with my piece's individual color palette. A little thing that I was taught as a traditional artist is that at all costs you should avoid the color black. I've found that doesn't really apply as much in digital media, but the idea behind that is once you put black down, everything else every other color becomes less impactful because it's so dramatic. So what I like to do generally is use really, really, really dark blues or really, really, really dark browns. In watercolor, I would use sepia or indigo, but as digital media is inclusive of every single color in the spectrum, I can choose a little bit more specified colors. That being said, you will notice that I am using black to outline the characters, which I was always taught is a no-no. During my education, I was told, no outlines, you need to be able to differentiate the sections of the components in your piece by its shading and contrast to the environment that it is living in. And that's all fine and well. That works, in a still life drawing. I had trained so hard to avoid using lines, but I'm very much inspired by the Art Nouveau era in the 20s. If you look at those artists, Gustav Klimt, Alphonse Mucha especially, they use line work and it works for them. It looks good. So really, it's not that you should deny yourself line work, but just use it appropriately. It may not be the best for every different kind of art that you create, but definitely fan art of anime being based on manga, which is black and white illustrations, which involve and depend very highly on the line art. So here, line art is definitely applicable. And it is a skill to be able to ink correctly, because you're not just laying down all of the lines, you are individually deciding what pulls forward and what gets pushed back, depending on how thick the line is. Thicker lines, definitely pop closer to us, but then we do also want to have, the opposite. Thinner lines mean something's further in the distance. You can play a little bit with atmospheric perspective that way, or atmospheric, it's the depth of the piece. As you saw there, I, during this, was listening to Game of Thrones. audiobook. I'm just working on more of the head. The illustration style of the anime does not have this much detail in the hair or in the shading that I'm about to do. And that's simply because it's animation. They have to move every single panel, right? They can't put all of this detail into every single frame of the animation. It would just be way too time consuming. So here I'm going to take a little stylistic, what do you say? Stylistic license? No. Anyway, I'm going to add more detail because it fits more with my style. I am having such a hard time with this stupid hand. This is an issue because my rough sketch, I was referencing a pose from someone holding a sword. And I had to tweak it a lot to get it to fit in my piece. So, for example, I wanted to see more of the face than the figure was doing. And the hand portion that is holding the sword in my reference picture, it gets cut off. So I was having a hard time doing that. Tweaking lines, thickening him up so he pops a little bit more. When you do line art around the edge of your piece with the hair especially, utilize your eraser tool as much as you do your pen tool, your brush tool, because you can get really nice light weight variations and sharper edges if you use the brush tool both positively and negatively, similar to charcoal. Yeah, I know I should have probably used an elliptical tool to draw the rounded part of his hat, but I did not. I don't think it's too noticeable. This is going to be a challenge right here because it is so white, and I don't necessarily want to introduce gray as a color. I'll probably end up doing, I don't know, a really light purple, or I don't know, a blue, maybe? So the tricky thing here is that, as you noticed in the front two characters, I am shading where the skin that is not being touched by light is a very teal blue. And I saw this in a picture, one of my reference pictures, and I thought, wow, that looks really cool. Get it? Cool. But what blue does as a color is it pushes things further into the distance, whereas warm colors pop close up to your eye. So yellows, reds, oranges, all those things are going to pop. But purples, blues, those things are cooler, and again, they push things into the distance. So visually it works up close where I'm using the blue to show the shaded parts, but as a whole piece, it's a little bit of a challenge because obviously the characters in the foremost portion of the image are not popping as much as they could. I did try to make the skin tone on them a little bit brighter, but we'll keep tweaking it as we go. So that is True Cross Academy. It's a really impressive city of a village town thing. It's cool looking. I did just drop a really low resolution image of it in the back, and I will use the selection tool, the lasso tool, to just find geometric shapes and put them into just larger patterns. I'm not going to go in and give as much detail to it because A, it's all the way in the background, and B, that's not the focus of the piece. So I opened up a new file, and now I'm going to work on some Japanese designs and patterns that I had found in some of the intermission screens for the show. They have a lot of more traditional Japanese art styles, a lot of them with these cool patterns. I wanted to incorporate something like that, but I didn't really know how to pull it off. So here I am just trying a couple shapes and laying them down and seeing what happens. This one's kind of like a ocean. While I'm doing this, can we just take a minute? Like, for those of you who've seen seasons 1 and 2, what happened? What happened at the beginning of season 2? What was that? I was so confused for the first 4 episodes. I'm like, okay, this is just like a 1 episode thing, right? We're gonna provide some backstory that's necessary for the furthering of the plot, and then we're gonna move on. No, we never left. We stayed the entire time, and I was so confused. It really didn't make sense. It was still an enjoyable season, but I just feel like they set themselves up with such a climactic ending for season 1, when rather it probably would have been a better idea to insert season 2 into the ending of season 1, because it's very short. It's only 11 episodes, 12 episodes long, whereas the first season was in the 20 episodes. So if they did that, then we would have had more time. I mean, it just didn't make sense. We were so satisfied that all of a sudden, Rin could finally control his powers and flames, and Yukio is starting to show that he has demonic powers too. And then just completely backtracking, and to the point now where everybody hates Rin again. Like, that hurt. We'd gotten over this, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen. We'd moved on. But no, we went back to it. It doesn't make sense to me. If anybody knows, has some inside scoop, please let me know. I was trying to look it up on Wikipedia, and it seemed that up until this year, the manga is still being run in Shonen Jump, which I don't know where you can even subscribe to that anymore. I used to buy them from GameStop back in the 90s, early 2000s. Maybe it was just the 2000s. But I used to get those regularly to check out. Dragon Ball, Ranma 1/2, all those good Shonen Jump stories, which I still love. If you look at the volume of my manga collection, most of it is Shonen Jump. It's just fun. Although I will say, action-oriented anime is more successful when it's visually rendered to animation versus when it is in manga. It's just a little bit harder to see what's going on. So that's one of the reasons that I'm really excited for Chainsaw Man, the anime, which is supposed to be coming out very soon. This damn hand. Here we go again. I know that it looks weird. I just don't know how to fix it. And in art, especially in digital art where you have unlimited chances, never be satisfied with something that doesn't look right. Just draw it again. It's gonna kill you, like, oh, but I spent 3 hours on that section. Just draw it again. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You wanting it to work will not make it work. It's gonna detract from the whole piece if you can't get it to work. So just delete, start again. Which again is great, because if this was a watercolor piece, you bet your happy booty you'd be stretching out a new piece of paper. But I think I finally got it. Now my only concern is that that hand looks a little bit more realistic than Yukio's hand, which is exactly above it and very easy to be compared to. The damn mouth too. Oh my god, how many times have I drawn this mouth? The first one was dumb. The second one was too much. The third one was just not enough. Didn't show his character. Like, it worked, but it just didn't work for Rin. So, there we go. 4th, 5th? I don't know. Whatever time we're on, that was the charm. Got his sword down. It was really dumb of me to erase all the line work that I had done while I was adjusting where the sword was going to go and how it was going to be angled. So that was a little bit of a time waster. I think that because the t-shirt, the white t-shirt and the skin are both the lightest elements, I am going to, shade it with the same color. Whereas with the coat and pants of his suit, I'm going to go treat it more like it was a black color. As you can see, I'm doing it right now. Smoothing it out. I am going to smooth it out on the clothes, but I'm not going to touch it on the skin. I really like that hard line. Originally, I was using the reference picture of Yukio that was taken from the manga, and he had white stripes on his jacket, and I'm like, that looks so cool! I love that. But every other reference picture I found, he didn't have white stripes on his coat, so that caused me a little bit of pain. I had to do that, quite a few times. Now we got his pin down. It's just proof that he is, in fact, a certified exorcist. So Yukio is supposed to be the younger brother, but he's a lot more advanced in his training as an exorcist. So it's funny that I say that he's younger. In the show, they mention it a couple times. Their father figure mentions it a couple times, that he's older by a few minutes. But then in season 2, when we go back and we see where Shiro Fujimoto actually finds the boys, they're in like a cave being held by their mother, and they're already born. And then really soon after that, the mom dies. So how do they know? How do they know that Rin is technically older? Nobody was there. Nobody alive was there to testify that. Does he just feel it in his demon blood? Like, I don't get it. Anyway, this is his belt, which I think that you only see when he's like fully prepped for battle, but it looks really cool. He's got some scissors there. In the show, there's different fields that exorcists can focus on, and he wants to focus on like being a doctor. And I think Rin I think he ended up choosing to be a knight exorcist because he wields a sword. But I started the belt and the bullet stirrup using the same color, brown, as I did for Yukio's hair. Too many colors is not a good thing, right? I don't want any of my pieces to look like a unicorn threw up all over them, and we just got every single color in the crayon box. I like to use a very limited color palette. While sometimes I do very strictly only use a split triad, and for those of you who are unfamiliar with the term split triad, on the color wheel, complementary colors are opposite to each other, yes? Well, if you take two colors next to each other on the color wheel, so let's say blue and purple, and then you take one color that is the opposite of either of those colors. So for example, yellow or orange. That is a split triad, where you have two colors that are very similar to each other and one color that just really pops. And that, in my opinion, is the most aesthetically pleasing color combination that you can have and is applicable to any colors on the spectrum. So sometimes I limit myself to just those three colors, just one purple, just one blue, and just one orange. But a lot of times I I mean, I love color. I have so much fun with color. A lot of times I just end up doing a couple different purples and a couple different blues, and then one warm color. So the warm here is the red in the jackets, and also the pink in his lapel or his scarf or whatever he has underneath his jacket, Mephisto, and their skin. Their skin is a warm color too. White as well. White pops quite a lot. I don't really like using white. I don't really like wearing white, honestly. I think it just is too, I don't know. It's just void. It's just not color. So, given the chance, I will always make my whites a little off-white, a little more eggshell. Here, I think I did, if I remember correctly, before we started dropping the background in, it was a different color than the white that Photoshop gives you when you start a new project. But now that we've added darker colors, you can't tell the difference, because once you add the darks around it, it's going to look like a completely different color depending on what it's interacting to. So for example, if you were going to take the lightest light in Ren's hair and pull that blue and draw it somewhere else on the image, let's say on Mephisto's jacket, it would look like black. It would look so dark. And that's because it only looks the lightest in comparison to the other colors that I'm using as contrast. So again, the sooner we figure out where in the image we're going to have the darkest darks and the lightest lights, the easier it is for us to continue with rendering any item in the piece. These are his flames. Anytime he takes his sword, anytime Rin unsheathes his blade, which has a name, the Kunikomaru? I don't remember. I'll edit this. But yeah, he gets all blue. Yukio doesn't have that. But Yuki's hiding a little secret. And I really hope that you expected the fact that if I was going to be talking about any anime, that there would be spoilers. If you don't want the spoilers, you should just mute, I guess. But Yukio's got this like skin thing going on under his jacket, which they don't really address in the beginning, so it's like an episode where everybody's really hot, or they're camping, and everybody's in, short sleeve shirts and all that jazz. And then Yukio will be in full getup with his trench coat, which I imagine is very, very thick. It doesn't look like it would be thin material. If it's for fighting, it's got to be durable. But he's actually hiding these gross purple things that look like, kind of like in Princess Mononoke when anyone gets touched by a demon. Kind of looks like that. So I had learned in the past not to do exactly what I'm trying to do right now. I had learned that if you were going to do a design on anything, you draw it flat, and then you kind of tweak it with transformation tools to make it fit the space that it is going in. I didn't do that here. I don't know why I forgot to do it. It's really dumb of me because it looks stupid, in my opinion, if you look close, but really, once you zoom out, you can't tell. And that's the thing. When you can zoom in this close, I can literally zoom in to just see the pixels. I can see the pixels. But when you're in that close, it's like, it doesn't really matter what it looks like. You're gonna pull out and that's gonna be what everyone sees. So don't get too hung up on the teeny tiny. I do like to go in, and sometimes when I'm doing something extremely detailed like these windows that I'm about to put down, I will use really small brushes. And that's fine, there's no issue with using small brushes. I'm just saying, don't waste a lot of time investing into beautiful detail that is in the end only going to be 4 centimeters by 4 centimeters. You're going to be the only one who knows it's there. Originally, I'd blocked out these buildings to be blue because, again, I wanted to push it further into the distance, but the reference image, as you can see, has oranges in it, and it just looks so good. I'm not gonna copy everything. I know this is kind of cheating. Yes, I could have drawn all of this out, but in my opinion, it would have taken me, it really would have taken me like 4 hours, 5 hours to draw that whole city. And why? I'm just using it for big shapes. And that's something that I had to accept about not doing traditional media. It really killed me because, well, like, look at how many times it took me to do the hand and the mouth. I could very well have just traced one of my reference images and plopped that in, but that doesn't feel good to me. It means that I didn't figure it out. And if I don't push myself to figure things out, I'm never gonna learn. And I want to learn. I want to be better. Always. But I do think that there's a lot of people out there that just drop and trace a whole bunch of stuff and nobody cares. But I do. I care. I would rather make myself struggle over and over and over again than cheat. And you know what? Some people might not consider it cheating. This is just the way that I feel because I am a little anal retentive and I am a perfectionist, I think. So I'm not happy unless everything goes the way that I want and falls into my terms. For somebody else, they might be completely jolly to just trace it and they would find that their skills are being expressed in the rendering of the said image. So if that is what works for them, that's fine. But for me, I don't do that. I like to feel the pain. An example of a section of the piece where it was teeny tiny and I spent time on it was that little symbol on Yukio's gun. It doesn't look very good really up close, but when you pull out, it is so small and nobody's gonna look at it. They're just gonna be like, oh, that's a gun. Their eyes are gonna go somewhere else. It's so close to the blue of his eyes that I use color dodge for so it like looks glowy. No one's gonna notice that wiggly little thing. And honestly, I did draw it like I saw it on the reference picture, so I'm not really sure what it was supposed to be. Probably the True Cross Academy, I don't know, logo. I don't know. We're getting close here. We're getting close. After I darkened Yukio's base of his figure, I thought it looked really good, so I'm going in now and I'm making everything else darker, cleaning up the edges. I really hope that they keep doing more of this show. I want a season 3. It was, overall it was good season 2, but I am disappointed. I wanted more show. And I don't know, it seems to be like a trend where they're dropping half seasons at a time because they want to slow us down. And I'm offended by that. I deserve the right to binge at my leisure, to consume as much media as I want to. I'm an adult. You can't restrict me. But actually they can. So here I opened up a new file and I'm not happy with the background. I'm not happy with it. I know I spent like 3 hours on that, but I'm not happy. So I'm gonna put some little dudes in the background. This is like a hobgoblin that you see occasionally. It's in one of the first episodes. I'm gonna scrap the background that I have right now. I had planned on putting the little dust buddies, little fluffy guys, demons. I'll show you. It's the next one that I draw. In the image itself, but once I started doing this, I just decided that they were going to be outlines. And I'm just copying and pasting all over the place, making sure that I switch up horizontally every now and then so that it looks like it's not the exact same image, but I'm cropping pieces off of it, so you're going to see a little section of all of them. These little guys are so cute. They're like -1 level maybe a negative level 5 demon-wise. They're really just little dust bunnies. But oddly, they're so cute. And I would like a plushie, please. Putting them over there. Looking good. So right now I have it where it's overlapping, because at first I was like, oh, well, it'll look like it's coming out of his hands, or it'll look like it's fading out from his cloak, but I didn't like it. And then I beefed up the image by outlining the main characters in purple. I sped through that for you because I know that we are over 30 minutes in here and we want to move on, don't we? So here, yeah, I just beefed up. I think that looks good. I think that looks much, much better. I did put down the wave design that I had earlier, so it didn't go completely to waste. But I'm much, much more happy with that. It focuses less on the background and makes the image pop more. Okay, I don't know why I put Mephisto's face off for such a long time. I really think it was that I didn't want to have to go in and do the final stuff on his cloak, because it was just such a big portion of the image. But here we go. It's the last thing to do. We're going to do it. I downloaded some new smudge tool brushes between the last time I used that and this video, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to touch up some things too after I give a nice little outline to Mephisto, make him pop a little bit. I need to make sure that his hands really look like they're coming out of the frame at me. And then, yeah, that's it. I'm just making sure that all the white's covered in the back. Shading is down, lines are there. I think it looks good. I'm happy with it. And it only took me about 42 hours.
And that's a wrap. After I complete a piece, I convert it to a printable PDF file and save it both on the Creative Cloud and an external hard drive, because I did learn my lesson. And thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed my content, please like and subscribe for more videos like this. And next time, the anime that I will be drawing from is Fire Force. See you then.